Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls, where Mississippi can't decide what kind of weather it wants to have. This is episode 521. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today's Saturday, February the 27th, 2021. Laura and I are both feeling very thick-headed because the weather keeps going,
From 1 degree to 70 degrees within 2 days.
So we're a little loopy. And Laura and I were talking before we hit record, and this past week has been so just mentally draining that I know I don't have a ton to talk about, but and Laura said she's been coming home from work and just watching hockey and just drooling,
and then going to bed.
Vegetate,
not even knitting as I'm watching hockey,
just
going to bed immediately afterwards at 7 o'clock when it's dark. How's your pandemic life going, people of the internet?
Yeah. So, as far as works in progress, I can go if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm still working on my Granny Goes Large. I only added maybe 3 colors this week.
That's still progress. Oh, it's so pretty.
So I think I'm down to 6 colors after this one, so that's another 12 rows. So
I like that light blue.
Yeah, it's called Duck Egg. It's really cute. So it's just a huge granny square. It's called Granny Goes Large, and it's by Sandra Paul. It's a free pattern on Ravelry or on her blog. So yeah, I've been using Stylecraft DK in a bunch of different colors. This one is great. And I don't have to think about it. I just go around and around and around and around.
I love around and around and around and around.
The other thing I've been working on is a sewing thing, and it is the Tammy Revolution hoodie. This is by New Horizons Patterns, and it's got a double hood. It's a very cute, fashionable thing. The fabric that I'm using is kind of thin, so it's not really a for warmth thing. It's a layering thing, but
I love it.
So this is for my niece, who is 17. So the hood will have both of the check fabric.
I love that.
Fabric. I realized when I was getting this ready, when I was turning it right side out, I realized that when I serged this, I left a hole. I missed putting the two pieces of fabric
missed it
together.
Yeah,
so I'll have to go back over it, but this piece can be done almost entirely on a serger, which is great.
Ooh.
Because a serger gives such nice edges, finished edges, even though I'm still trying to figure out the best way to use my serger. But so the pocket is attached on the front.
Look at that.
Technically, I was supposed to do the hood before I put it all together, but the hood requires grommets, and the only grommets I have, happen to already own, are gold colored, and that wouldn't really work with this. So I'm going to go
silver.
Silver or black. It depends. I'm going to go to Joann's later today and see what they've got.
I have something I want you to get me when you go to Joann's.
Our local Michael's does not do sewing stuff really. They have a very, very small section, and I don't support Hobby Lobby, and those are basically my only options for sewing stuff in the area. So I'm going to go and get the grommets later. Actually might look and see if they have any French terry, which is what this is made out of, because it's a nice, real thin sort of sweatshirt material. And if depending on what kind of fabrics they have, I might make one for myself, because it is a much nice lighter piece than I expected it to be. If I'm talking, Neelix thinks that something is wrong, and buses come and check out what I'm doing. So.
Girl's directly behind me. I had scooched back because she was in front of me, and now she's directly behind me, which is part of the reason why I need a new rolling chair. Well, that and Humberto wrecked this one, and it's old, and over time foam and such deteriorates.
They do.
But I love that hoodie. I think that's super cute. Neelix does too, apparently.
Maybe I'll make you one then. We'll see.
Ooh, I do have a birthday coming up.
You do have but I have a totally different gift for you in mind for that. So it's going to be a big garbage bag full of poo. I'm going to set it on fire right on your doorstep.
I was being a jerk to Leslie the other day. It's allowed.
Yeah, it is allowed because I'm a jerk sometimes too. I'm a jerk.
I was being like a teasing jerk. We're all jerks. Yeah.
It's just a big old group. I was gonna make a really dirty joke, but I'm gonna not. All right, go.
I thought you were talking to me for a second. I'm like, I'm staying.
Like, I'm part of this show. No. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, so part of this is one of the options is a thumb hole, like a cuff with a thumb hole.
Oh, did you try one?
I wasn't paying attention. So first of all, figuring out which two sides to put together, and then because you have to do it inside out, and then you have to anyway, it I had to tink and rip several times before I figured out how I needed to get it done. There's a video that you can watch that accompanies the pattern that shows you how to do it, but no, instead of watching the video, I just figured I'd waste an hour. So I did finally figure it out, and I got it working, but I cut the fabric on the wrong grain. So the stretchiness is up and down rather than to the side. So I had to it's hard to get on. So luckily I have enough left that I can recut, barely, that I can recut the cuffs. But yes, hi Buffy. Did you need something?
That would be fun to do, just sewn gauntlets. You know how they sell the sewn gauntlets? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be that's cute. Plus it would be a nice layering piece. Because where I work, my desk is right by the window, and so sometimes it's really cold just right there.
Dogs are so sad.
I don't know what they want. I'm gonna let them out and close the door so that they can stop being loud. All right, come on. Now. Thank you. Okay. So that's my works in progress. What about you?
I am knitting on a sock.
Okay.
I had an hour-long meeting yesterday, so I got to knit on my sock that lives in my purse. And this is out of Nomadic Yarns Sport in the bad guy colorway. And it's knit on size 1 needles, and I'm using Addy Turbo Squared. And so I got from this, let's see. Where's my increase line? I got from this gray all the way through the heel turn.
Wow.
So I was super happy. So this just means, and my coworker was watching me turn the heel. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "It's magic." I was super excited. To quote Nina West. But yeah, so I've got it through the heel. I used Wendy Johnson's Toe Up Heel with Gusset. She's got the numbers for free on her blog, and it's also in her first book. But yeah, so do what?
Wendy Knit Socks, right? That's her first book.
Yeah, or Socks from the Toe Up. I think it's Socks from the Toe Up.
Oh, you're right. Actually, it's her second book, right? Because technically she had that one that was published.
Yeah, she had one that was just her blog, basically. But yeah, so now I'm on the cuff, and I'll do that, and then some ribbing, and then I'll start another one, and eventually I'll have some socks. Maybe I should try to finish these for St. Patrick's Day. So I have a bit of green.
You are you off the week before or the week of?
My first, so my last day of school is the 12th.
Okay.
So I have the 13th and 14th that weekend. And then the 15th, I get my COVID vaccine. That's how I could remember that. And then, because they released all the COVID vaccines for teachers in Mississippi, like any teacher can get one, but through the State Department, they start the week of our spring break.
Which is good timing.
No, it's good timing. There are some of my coworkers who are traveling, and so they can't get it, but I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm hanging out with Pearl and maybe Leslie. But yeah.
That's trying to think. I go on call, I think, on the 12th. The Thursday. I think that's the 12th.
Well, that following Friday, then you'll be which is kind of St. Patrick's Day, you'll be off. St. Patrick's Day is Wednesday, so you'll be off that Friday.
19th,
yeah.
Also, I have a kid that turns 18 next week.
You do? That's amazing. Mm-hmm. We should get one of those giant yard signs for him. Have you seen?
I have, and I think that you do you, boo, and you do whatever makes you happy. But
Kobe would not be into that.
He would very much not be into that. He does not have friends that live in this neighborhood, so no one would see it.
Well, everyone would see it, but no one would know what was going on.
Yeah. Also, I'm not a huge fan of like it's fine with know your neighbors and make personal connections and all that. That's great. But I'm not a big fan of advertising who lives in what house.
Yeah.
I could see that. So
I'm not a big fan of that stuff is disposable.
Well, most of the time they only rent those signs, and then the company comes back and they rent them for $40 for a day or whatever, and the company just comes back and picks them up, and they reuse everything but the name, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I interrupted your works in progress. What else are you working on?
No, you're fine. I'm working on a new hat called the Puck Hat by Danny Sunshine out of Lux Adorna Knits DK. It's basically a hat that's got chevron stripes in it. And so I have the brim, the, 1.5 inch of ribbing knit. And now I'm doing some stockinette in the round, and then I'll go into some chevron stripes. And then I'll switch from the pink to the gray that I used before. Hopefully I have enough of the gray left. So yeah, that's the other thing. It's being knit on size 4 and 5 needles in the round. And right now I'm just knitting round and round and round and round and round. And then I'll have some pattern. And that is it. I'll have a cashmere hat eventually.
You'll have 2 cashmere hats, right?
I know. I do have another one. That's in my finished objects. Would you like me to go straight into my finished objects? Because I have that hat sitting here. So I did finish the other cashmere hat. And this was the chamomile hat. And it is, I've clipped the ends, but I haven't blocked this yet. So I need to, after I've woven in the ends, I haven't clipped them because I'm going to block first. But yeah, that is what it looks like. It's a nice slouchy hat. So this is a full skein of the teal. I think I had around 20 yards left. And then a bit of this gray that then I'll use the rest of the gray and the other hat. And eventually I'll have 3 skeins out of my stash when I finish the other hat.
And you'll have used some of your special skeins.
I know, 3 special skeins. So that's exciting. Now that I've knit a cashmere hat at 70 degrees in Mississippi.
Yeah, of course. When you started it was 7.
1. It was legit 1 degree. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a nice knit. I think I'm going to knit it again, maybe out of some hand spun for this contrast, a solid and the hand spun for the contrast. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
If you have some.
It's a good way to use a really special little bit and bob.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure. So yeah, or if you have some leftovers, it would be cool to do these stripes in different colors, maybe a gray and then different colors. You could do rainbow. That would be really cool. So yeah, that's done. Rainbow, actually, that would make me super happy. I have to keep that idea in mind. But yeah, so those are the 2 things that I've started or am working on, and then the 1 thing that I finished. So I'm going to be kind to myself and say that that is not terrible.
Not at all.
It's a decent amount of stuff, and I have a new hat that I'm super excited about. So yeah, you finished some things too.
Sort of. Well, they're not knitting or sewing things.
They're finished objects.
So one of the things I wanted to try more this year was watercolor. And it's one of those things where I'm a little frustrated because I didn't expect to start out and be like amazing. But I also didn't expect to still suck quite so hard after doing it repeatedly.
So I've taken watercolor classes because one thing that Mama Linneman did is if you were at home, you could be taking classes. And my mom was an art teacher.
Yeah.
So I took several watercolor classes, and I'm here to say I still suck at it. And I never got better. So I feel you on that. And I think it's something that takes a lot of practice to get good at as a medium. So I'm proud of you for trying something new.
Yeah. And I'm not giving up because I got this book. I found this on Etsy. So it's inspireaart.com. So it's these two watercolor artists, Andrei Gerasimyuk and Vitaly Dets. They are both Ukrainian, and they created this book where, for example, I think there's like 20 something paintings in here. Oh no, there's not. There's 16 paintings in here. And so they sort of walk you through step by step what to do.
Oh, cool.
And then you get 2 tries to, duplicate or,
in that book,
imitate, whatever. So I've done the first 4, and they do have accompanying videos for 3 or 4 of the ones in the book on YouTube, but they are in Russian, and I do not speak Russian. So I can watch them, and it does help.
Or maybe you're Ukrainian?
No, they're in Russian.
They're
that's what it says. They're in Russian on the Etsy listing where I bought it. And I've got this linked in our show notes, which is at our website, TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. So this was my attempt at the.
I don't think that's horrible at all.
This is the best one so far. So that was the first one, and then the
you have
second
to see
one,
that Leslie put in the show notes that she did terrible watercolor painting.
Yeah.
So I was expecting just like dots on a piece of paper.
So this is the second, what you're going for, which is this sort of flowers on the wall, and this is what I ended up with.
I think you are being too hard on yourself. I think it looks good.
From back here, like I think it looks good from here.
No, I think it looks good, and it's a learning process. Have you looked at Creative Bug to see if they have watercolor?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
They do have some. I'm not terribly disappointed in this one, but I still think I could do better. So this one is just like there's some cathedrals in the background and a lamppost. So that's
I like it
here. And then this one is a church.
Pearl does too. That's why she barked.
So this is a church, and this is my attempt at the church here.
Okay.
So
I think you're being too hard on yourself.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm learning things, and that's good. I think watercolor is hard for me as well because I can't draw. Like, if you asked me to draw like a dog, you might then think it was like an aquatic horse. Like I'm terrible at that sort of thing.
Like a kelpie?
Yeah. Or like that thing in Mario that swims, the Nessie thing. I can't remember what it's called, but because I can't draw, I have a hard time. Like I could color in things, sure. But anyway, I'm going to keep working through the book.
That takes practice, yeah.
And we'll see. So that's the only thing that I've finished this week was 4 of those paintings.
I think that's pretty awesome.
So, but I also did not do any spinning this week, and I expect that you probably have.
So I'm still working on some things. I did ply some stuff, and I wound it off, and it's actually like it was soaking, and now it's drying. So I'll show that to you guys next week. It was the Knit Spin Farm stuff that I long drawed, the 2 bats on the matchless. So that's plied, and it is drying right now. And then the Horn Dorset from Knit Spin Farm that was in top form. Sorry, I have to pet the dog now. Is also been plied and is drying. The one that gave me all that trouble, and actually I'm okay with how it turned out, I think. So we'll talk about that next time. I'm actually plying right now. Leslie texted me and was like, hey, want to record? And I was in the middle of plying the Into the World Best Wishes, Warmest Regards on the Hanson. And so that's being plied today. That was the Gray Shetland. I'm still working on long drying the cashmere from Spotted You on the matchless. And then I'm also still spinning this Hello Yarn Bitter Roots and Sweet Fruits, which was merino. Leslie and I have not been buying any fiber or yarn this month. And so I am going to get a second bag of this, but I'm going to wait until the
March
month's
1st.
up. Yeah. But because she ships with the club, like you can get a discounted shipping rate to send it with the club, I probably won't get it till the April shipment. So I'll have this first half sitting on a bobbin for a little while, which is fine. And then the last thing that I've been spinning is I got a new spindle, and when it came, I wanted to play with it. So this is a spindle by Jerry Brock, who is my absolute favorite Turkish spindle maker. She does cutouts, and she started to add wood burning. So these are manatees. She has a larger one that's got a mama and a baby manatee, and it just makes me so happy. But I tend to spin on spindles that are around 20 grams is my happiness, and she sent some fiber with it. She also had spun a leader, which made me super happy.
Yeah.
So I because she test spins all her spindles. So I put on that leader when this came yesterday and started spinning. So it feels like a merino silk. But I have little bits and bobs hanging out here. Like when I order stuff from Hip Strings, they send a little sample. And I have some other samples. So I'm going to try to get back into the habit of using some of my spindles. And also I have some long-term projects that are already on spindles that really I need to finish up. So I'm going to try to get back into the habit of spindle spinning a little bit more. I really do love spinning on my Turks especially. So I need to start using them more regularly. I used one a couple years ago to spin a whole 4 ounces that I plied on the fly. But I haven't done that for a while, so. And those Knit Spin Farm little batlings are perfect for spindle spinning.
Yeah.
And Rebecca of Daedalus has been super inspiring with her spindle spinning on Turks recently, so. Yeah, I need to get more done and enjoy the tools that I have. So, and new tools like little baby manatees.
I mean,
I love manatees. Someone sent me a note saying that they went kayaking in a river in Florida and there were manatees. And I'm very jealous.
I thought manatees were saltwater animals.
No, they tend to stay in the little, they can be both.
Oh.
But they stay in like the rivers primarily, I guess, of Florida. And then they go into the little where the rivers meet the sea.
Yeah, I forget what that area is called.
Is that an estuary? Maybe?
I don't know. I forget what it's called in relation to it being fresh and salt water. Like mixing. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway. And I just love some manatees. I've never seen one in person. But when I was little, like middle school age, I wanted to be a marine biologist and hang out with manatees.
Is that on your bucket list to hang out with a manatee?
Yes, that is actually. There's a couple things on my bucket list right now. There's a place in Europe that it's a city and it has all these little sculptures of little gnomes throughout the city. I want to go there. I read about it in a book.
That's so kitsch. I am.
But it also sounded amazing. One of the AJ Sherwood books took place there, and I was like, yes, I want to go there. You can go on like a little gnome hunt. It's so touristy, but also it sounds like it's supposed to be like the Venice like of the East because it's got lots of canals and stuff. And now I can't remember the town. But
One
I
of our
also
viewers will have heard of it or been there.
I added it to Wheezy's bucket list too. I texted him about it. But yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, so manatees are 100% on the bucket list. What have you been reading? Speaking of reading,
not a lot. I started a series, The Legends of Abrea. So it's there's very little romance or anything, at least so far. I'm on the second of 3 books. The third one is not out yet. But it's April.
she's so mad because I just picked her up to get this far.
Yeah, she doesn't usually get in people's laps like that.
She does not like being on people's laps. She's trying to back up and leave me. And I'm like, no, you're right here.
Her little fluffy paws. I love the little fluff between her paws. I mean, I know she doesn't, but I think it's adorable.
Her mommy doesn't really either because she won't let me
groom
it. Yeah. And take care of it like it should be. All right, so you're reading.
Yeah, so I'm reading The Legends of Abrea. It's a Kindle Unlimited series, and I'm only on, like I said, I've just started the second book. We'll see how it goes. And I'm listening to the Ender's Game series. So the original, I don't know if it was the original book. I guess it was. Like the only one I know of that's been made into a movie is Ender's Game.
Yeah.
And of course, it left out a lot of the book. But
it's a trilogy, right?
So it's one of those books where kind of like Star Wars, where it sort of starts in the middle, and then later they come back and tell the pre-story, like the prequels. And I've only ever read or listened to the main 3, which is Ender's Game, Speaker for the Dead, and Xenocide. And I'm re-listening. I've re-listened to the first 2. I'm on the 3rd one, which is Xenocide. And then there's another one that's been added, which I think is called Children of the Mind, which is a continuation of the story. So there might be 4, like if you start at Ender's Game and go forward. I was looking on Audible earlier trying to figure it out, but I'm not interested in the prequels at all, because I like the story of them interacting with sentient species. So yeah, that's what I've been reading and listening to. What about you?
Okay. I am still listening to Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Elston. It is really good. It's middle grade fantasy. It's got some like Men in Black type aspects to it, but also like some Wrinkle in Time type aspects to it. And I'm really enjoying it. And then this week, I received the coolest thing ever. The Conscious Kid did this Educators Anti-Racism library distribution where they send educators who signed up like around 40 to 50 picture books.
Oh yeah, you sent me
that are all
this. They're all
anti-racism. And it was just an amazing gift for my library. So I read 3 of those this week. They were Eyes That Kiss the Corners by Joanna Ho, which is an amazing like poem almost about a young girl and her eyes. We Are the Water Protectors by Carol Lindstrom, which is about it's indigenous. It was based off of or it came about through the protests against the pipelines, Standing Rock specifically, I believe. And then A Different Pond, which is about a family that immigrates to the United States from Vietnam and after the Vietnam War. And it's about a young boy who goes fishing with his father in the mornings so that they have food to eat. And over the course of that fishing trip, his father tells about his brother who died in the Vietnam War. And it's just, all 3 were just lovely, almost very poetic picture books. and very excellent. So if you're looking for some new picture books, those 3 I highly recommend. I enjoyed them immensely. So I feel like I don't talk about picture books a lot, but picture books are for everyone at every age, and I really enjoyed it. And a lot of these had really good back matter as well, where they elaborate, especially We Are the Water Protectors. So yeah.
I think a picture book's a good way to get a point across in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, the Tulsa Race Massacre one was amazing that I read a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago that I talked about. That one was also incredible. So yeah, a lot of these historical or even realistic picture books are really, really good. And they're basically like poetry.
Yeah.
So I will be sharing those, and I've already shared a bunch of the other books with my teachers and students as well. So
I wanted to mention, so Netflix released a series sometime in the last few weeks called Amend, and it's hosted by Will Smith. It's a 6-part series that sort of centers around the 14th Amendment to the Constitution.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
And so it starts with how it relates to former enslaved people, and how, once these individuals were freed from slavery, like, then they were just sort of left. They were just sort of like, there was no infrastructure, there was no plan, and it talks a lot about that particular aspect in the 14th Amendment, and the intentions behind the 14th Amendment. But then it also, in later episodes, goes into how people have fought to apply the 14th Amendment to other things like women's rights. And it talked a lot about, in the last episode and the one before it, they talked a lot about the Chinese immigration at and around the time of the sort of gold rush in California.
The railroads.
And the backlash of all of the, I mean, it showed and talked about a lot of things I had no idea about, because it's not something that's
I'll
taught
have to check it out. Yeah.
So and it's told in a way that it's not like information overload. Like, it keeps you interested, but it's also teaching,
educational, but it's also really interesting.
Yeah.
And engaging.
And it has like different actors who sort of narrate historical figures. So it's an interesting and worthy watch. So something to check out.
Absolutely. I'm going to add that to my queue on Netflix. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we really need to talk about?
Not that I can think of.
We have a Patreon event tomorrow.
We do, and we want to thank all of our patrons who support us on Patreon. We have a VKN tomorrow, although this will probably go up later today or tomorrow. And last week we had a fail-along where we did hand lettering.
We did do hand lettering. I'll have to find mine.
Mine is downstairs because I've actually practiced a little tiny bit since then.
Look at you.
But yeah, that was a fun one. We both stuck with it longer than we'd stuck with other stuff. So
I mean, a good hour.
Sometimes we fail really quickly.
The pottery wheels are a good example. I think that was a fail within 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was a record. So yeah, I think that's it. So you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you again next week. Bye, y'all.
Yeah.